four window section. And I'm going to give somebody $10 if they can tell where we made a mistake in some of this. I'm not going to tell you where it is, but we'll see if you've been paying attention. So this is the four window wall display, and bottom left we're showing you the components to put it together. You've got a left weldment, a large center weldment that holds two windows, and then a right weldment, all held together with brackets. We'll show you how to do that here. Okay, these brackets hold the weldments together. You can see that there's an angled bracket with set screws, and then we've self-tapped. We've already tapped these for 1024 screws. We're just showing you how the kind of the exploded view of the weldment happening in here, but that's a finished piece. Mr. Phil likes to do the top or the bottom connector in this orientation, and then on the top he flips it so that these 1024 screws are actually pointing up. It just makes it a whole lot easier to get to the screws. So pay attention to that. I'll kind of call it out. Here we're showing how it'd be orientated, this corner assembly to connect down here. In the other version, for the top version, you'll want to flip that so that your screws are pointing up. All right, there you have it. Oh, check it out. So again, you'll notice that these are pitched, so that's why we put them in an angle. And we provide these Allen wrenches for you in the kits. You can use them or you can use your own. I like having the kind of the whole part, the Allen wrench set. It works more like a screwdriver. Right here, Phil would have this upside down so that the brackets are pointing up and that the screws are on the top. Because Phil's smart. And those set screws are pointed on one end too, so that point digs into the extrusion so that there's nothing moving once it's done. Then just working through these, we're showing you how it looks. Step 5, step 6. Old construction thing is just always make sure that things are level and plumb as you're working through your steps. It'll make for a better end result. And when you go to install the windows and the trim, it just makes it a lot easier as we go. And then we get into the window. You're going to want to mount the windows before you mount this fixture to the wall section, but we've noted here what to look for. Grab your windows. There's an inside and out. We always want the inside of the window facing out towards the customer. So that's, that's where all the mechanical parts are, the latches and the cranks and all of that. So make sure you're doing that. You screw the windows in from the back with the nail fin, but just make sure they're pointed in the right direction. And I've even been known to mount a window upside down before. We'll show you kind of how to identify that later. And then there are these angled brackets to hold the graphics. There's pilot holes on the bottom of the fixture to do that. We were doing it upside down before we got all this. It just makes it easier. If you like laying on your back, totally fine. You can do it however you want. And then we're showing you the orientation of these graphics as they are in here. I have a few videos for you. Anybody see what's wrong with these videos yet? Yeah, there's PEM nuts already installed in the back of this fixture, so we just need to gain access to that, and the nail fin covers them up. So really simple. Tin snips work really, really good to do that. Get that out of there. Oh, a little thing on this too. Um, we'll get to it in a second, but we've labeled all of the windows. Each one has a label on it. You saw on that one was 13. Because it gets confusing, we're not window experts. You're not either. You won't know one window from the other once you get the wrapping off of it. So we've been taking or marking somehow, make sure it's not in a visible spot that you mark it. But we've just been kind of labeling or transferring that label over to the window so we can keep things straight. And that's that. Here we're showing you how to label the windows. When you're unpacking the fixtures, you're going to come across the packet that has the labels in it. We've had these thrown away, so you got to be careful because when they were packing, they taped them to the inside of the box. So just make sure as you're tearing boxes apart and unpacking stuff that you're just making sure that there aren't any graphic packs or anything left inside that carton that's being thrown away. So just be noteful of that. But we're showing you where these go on Windows 12 and 13. And again, the JELD-WEN rep will be there to help you out. And then Windows 14 and 15. And then we're showing you the mounting brackets that are going to attach this to the wall section. What we were doing before, and I'm going to go back, is we weren't mounting these brackets to this window display before we mounted it to the wall. We were actually taking, at the end of here is a threaded post, and that's going to go through those through holes that I was mentioning on the wall section. And then there's a wing nut that holds it together on the backside. We were putting these on the wall section first because it was a little problematic to hit that threaded post into the hole. So we just found it easier to kind of loosely mount these to the wall first and then take the fixture and move it into place. And then there are, on this one, there's large screws and washers that hold it all together. So it was just easier to maneuver, easier to get it all together at that point. Then we're showing you how to do the trim again. There's only one window on this particular fixture that needs the trim, and it's number 12, and that is a brick molding. So one thing to note when you're looking at the trim, I mentioned that we've have all the windows labeled 1 through whatever. We have all the trim labeled 1 through whatever as well. So window number 12 is going to get trim number 12. And then on the outside of the wrap of the trim is the number 12 or whatever the window it corresponds to. If we didn't mark on here what the number of that window is, take a Sharpie, and as you're unwrapping it, if this is number 12, mark number 12 on each one so we can keep track of them. Again, it gets confusing as we get them all unpacked and on the floor with tape. It just gets confusing to know which ones are which. So that's why we mark the trim with its corresponding number. And then that is the trim, and the fixture is complete.